Hey everyone, this is Dimitri with Star Moment Photography. Thanks for joining me for another episode. So today we're going to kick off my new series where I'm going to be just reviewing some of my different lenses that I've had from my EF lenses. So today we're going to start with arguably one of my favorite focal lengths of all time, which is the 85mm focal length. And we're going to be featuring my most used lens, the 85mm f1.4 IS lens. So this is a EF mount DSLR lens, which came out back in 2017. And so the 85mm focal length is a classic to use for portrait photographers, wedding photographers, what have you, mainly because it renders such a flattering image for people portraits, portraits of seniors, grandparents, anything you could think of with portraiture. 85 is usually the first on the list for photographers. So anything between like the 85 to 200mm range is fair game for most portrait photographers. Now, with this particular lens, it's special in that it's one of the few 85mm lenses out there that has built-in image stabilization. So you can use this on a non-image stabilized body and still get really good handheld images at slower shutter speeds, such as my EOS R, which does not have inbuilt image stabilization. Now, I'm told that with the R6, that the image stabilization combined with the in-body image stabilization will yield up to, I believe it's around 6 or 7 stops of stabilization. So I can shoot at really slow shutter speeds and still get very usable, clean images. So I'm going to be putting that to the test in a future video just to kind of see whether I get that or not. Now, in the next few minutes, what we're going to do is I'm going to take you guys over onto my computer and we are going to actually go through and edit a couple of my favorite shots that I've taken with this lens, just so you guys can kind of see its characteristics, what it does, how it renders the images, and how after editing what the images look like afterwards. But just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a run through of the lens, so I've got the lens hood on here, so I usually keep that on to protect the element, which is very large, as you can tell there. Like, it's a very massive chunk of glass, and I like this particular design because the front element does not move when focusing, so it's not gonna be very easy to get a lot of dust in there. And of course, like I've said, also it also has image stabilization. It's got a little toggle switch here that you can use to switch it on or off. And it's also got a very nice and very robust feeling focus ring, which I don't really use. I'm mostly autofocus. The only lens I really use manual focus for now is my macro lens, which we'll review in a later video. So guys, without further ado, let's go on and hop on the computer and we can go ahead and take a look at some of the images that we can get with this lens. So here we are with the editing portion of this video, where we are going to take a look at the 85mm 1.4 lens and some of the images, some of my most favorite images I've taken with this lens. So I've already edited a few of these just to kind of give you guys kind of like a final polished look, but I left one image purposefully unedited just so we can go through and go through the editing process. So as you can see straight out of camera, like, the image is looking very nice indeed. Like, we have here the model, she's like, her outfit is looking very good. If we zoom in, you can see just how sharp and detail we have in her face, and that's at f1.4. Normally for prime lenses, they're not their sharpest at the wide open end of the aperture range, but this lens here, it renders enough detail while also making her skin nice and soft, so doesn't have like a lot of hard edges. There's a little bit of a shine here from where my strobe was a little bit harsh, but we can fix that in post. I might not go through that full process in this video. But let's go through the edit here just to kind of take you through what I like to do. So one of the first things that I will do, so I just discovered this actually, learning how to use the different camera profiles that they have built into Lightroom. So for my camera, the 5D Mark IV, they have the different profiles. So we got camera faithful, landscape, neutral, standard, and then of course portrait. So for all intents and purpose, we're gonna go with portrait, right? So we're gonna hit close. So then what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and start with boosting the shadows a little bit. So I'm gonna take that up to about plus 51 just to kind of lift the shadows a bit. So we're already starting to see some good, some color coming into this image thanks to that. We're also gonna boost the exposure just a bit because I want it to be a little bit brighter. So let's go to about plus 44, and I think I'm happy with that. Then we're also gonna boost the blacks up just a bit because I don't want it so dark. I don't want it that bright either. So we're gonna take it down to about plus 23. So now what we're gonna do, I'm going to boost the clarity just a bit. We're going to go up to about plus 16 just to kind of make the image pop a little bit more. So let's see what effect we're having on the face. So as you can see, her face has become even clearer. We're seeing even more detail there thanks to the boost in the shadows and whatnot. So let's go back, and now we're going to add some vibrance. So we're going to take that up to about, let's see, I'm going to take it to plus 46. And I'm really liking that already. So we're also going to just try to take care of a little bit of the sheen by reducing highlights. So I'm going to drop that down to about, maybe not quite that far. Let's take it down to about 33, and I'm liking where the image is at right there. So the last thing what we're gonna do, we're gonna boost up the sharpening. We're gonna go to 82 and radius at 1.4. So now let's see where that takes us as far as the image. So you can see just how much detail we have in this image at the wide open range. And as you can see, like, her skin is still smooth in the right places. We just had like that one harsh spot from where the strobe was a little too bright, and you can see just how vibrant the colors are. Like, look at how much this pops. And that's one of the reasons why I love shooting Canon. Like, the colors, you just can't get the same type of colors. Like, it's just so rich. So another image that we're gonna do, and this is one that I had actually edited a while back, but for all intents and purposes, I went and I undid everything so we can kind of go through it again. So this one was also done at f1.4, and just for reference, both images, the shutter speed was shot at 6004. Bleh, I cannot talk tonight. But you see the shutter speed. And then the ISO was at 100. So again, first things first, what we're going to do is we are going to go down and use our portrait color profile, which I have come to love now that I've discovered this. Like, it gives a much better starting point to do edits. So let's go ahead and boost up the shadows here. Let's boost that up to about 46. I'm happy with that. We'll boost up the blacks a little bit too. We're gonna go probably plus 19 and just a little. Okay, we don't want it that high with the exposure, so let's take it down. Plus 9 is fine, and then add just a smidge of contrast in there just to kind of keep everything popping. So now next thing we're going to do here is we're going to go and too far. We want the clarity to be just about 18, maybe not even that high. Let's go to 16, and then we're going to boost the vibrance up. we're going to go all the way up to 46 here, and you can see just how nice that image is rendering. And look at just how sharp this image is, right out of camera, and right at the wide open aperture. Like you can't get that with a standard kit lens. So now we're gonna go down and we're gonna just boost up the sharpening just a bit. So we're gonna go back up to 84, somewhere around that range, and 1.4, and look at that. Look at the detail in her skin. Look at the detail in her eyes. Like, this is at wide open aperture at f1.4. Now this was taken with a DSLR, which arguably the focusing system using the mirror pentaprism is not the greatest. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna go and we're gonna look for an image that I did with the EOS R using the 85 1.4. So let's go. So we gotta go quite a ways here, cause let's see here. So all this is my quick collection. So let's see. Here we go. Somewhere around in this range. Oh wait, did I take one with... Nope, it wasn't this one. It's been so long, guys, since I've had the EOS R that I forgot which shoot I started with it. Okay, so here we go. So this was the first official portrait session I did with the EOS R. So starting out with this image right here. This was a studio session that the Orlando meet and greet group started, and it was like, I love going to those sessions. Any of you that's in the Orlando, Florida area that's looking to network with like different models and photographers, you have to go to one of these OMG events. It's very great for networking and meeting new people and meeting different models who can help elevate your photography. So starting out, so this image here was a little bit soft because I missed the focus on the face, but as you can see, where it did nail the focus, like, look at that detail at f2.8. Like, the pants and the skin and the chair, sharp focus. So I want to kind of pick one where we got more of the face in focus. So here we go. This one right here. Look at this at f2.8. Look at how sharp her eyes are. Look at the skin detail. Look at the hair detail, and that's without any sharpening. That's wide open. Well, that's not completely wide open, but it's still a nice wide aperture, f2.8. So now we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna do some editing. So start out, browse, we're gonna go to our portrait color profile. Look at that. Look at just how already the color just became even more vivid. Like, it's amazing. So now what we're gonna do next, we're gonna boost up some of the shadows. We don't want that much shadow going on there. And the image is actually a little too bright for my liking. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and bring the highlights down a little bit, as well as the whites, because I don't want it quite that bright. And then we're also gonna add just a little bit of contrast. And let's just boost up the blacks just a bit. So now we're gonna go ahead and hit the clarity slider, which it's we're just gonna move it up to 12. Then the vibrance, I actually kind of like the color that we're getting, but just to kind of see what it would look like, let's go ahead and slide it to where I would normally slide it, which is about 46. I mean, look at just how red her hair is. Like, this color is popping, and look at this. This is at 2.8, no sharpening. Look at how sharp this image is. Like, it's amazing. So if we go down and do sharpening, I'm gonna take it up to about 1.4.
Bam! Look at that. Look at, you can count the individual hairs in her eyebrow. You can count like the strands of hair in her lashes, her hair, and it's just an amazing overall look. So the 85 1.4 is definitely a keeper lens. So now the shots that I've shown you so far are kind of more or less in kind of very controlled situations. So let's go ahead and we're gonna find one where I didn't have as much control over lighting to kind of see what we would get if we were in a situation where I had to if we were in a situation where we had to kind of improvise. Now there was a shot, there was here we go. So here was a shot that we did outdoors. So this was at Blue Jacket Park in Baldwin Park, Florida. So this shot was at f1.4. I shot at 1/1600th of a second. Now, as you can see here, this is some of that purple fringing that happens with wide aperture lenses. So as you can see here, it's not as bad here, but there are situations where this lens can have some pretty bad chromatic aberration. Luckily, though, it's nothing that software can't handle. Now here with this shot, the camera unfortunately focused on his hand, not his face, but that's all right. The image was still actually very usable. So of course we're gonna go ahead and go through the editing process. So starting out with the color profile, so click portrait, I'm gonna close that. So now I'm gonna go to the shadows, boost up the shadows a bit so we can kind of see, show more of the background there, because it still has a lot of nice rich texture and color in the background. So now we're gonna go ahead and drop the highlights a little bit. I kind of want to bring out more detail in his shirt. We're also gonna drop the whites down a little bit. Gonna add a little bit of contrast. Not too much, just a very subtle hint of it. Then we're gonna hit the clarity slider, go up to 16, and then we're gonna slide up the vibrance. So we're gonna slide that up to about, we don't want it too high on this one. So 25 is actually looking pretty good to me. So now one thing that we're gonna do different here versus the other shots is so before we do the sharpening, I'm going to actually go ahead and take care of that color fringing. So we're just gonna slide this defringer here, and as you can see, it eliminates it. It's not completely gone. You still got some slight miscoloration, but it's not going to be noticeable in the final image. So there we go. And so now we're going to go ahead and sharpen the image. So slide it up to 82, 1.4, and voila, look at that. Look at that detail. Like, look at how sharp. Like, look at his tie. Like, his tie is in sharp focus, lots of detail. So overall, very great performance. So this lens, it is eventually going to get replaced by me by the RF 85 1.2, which by the reviews I'm seeing is vastly superior. But I'm not gonna lie, like, it's a tough sell for me because this 85 does a very great job. Like, I use it for not just portrait sessions, but I also use it for weddings. So the last thing that we're gonna kind of take a look at, we're gonna look at a wedding shot that I did with the 85. So let's see here. I believe, yep, this is one that I did with the 85 1.2. So we're gonna go, so this shot here, it's a father and son. The father is helping his son get ready for his big day. So now, as you can see, I already edited this shot because this is one of the keeper shots I had for the wedding. But we're gonna go ahead and just re-edit it. So let's go back. We're going to go down to the import. So now what we're going to do, we're going to start out with the color profile. So we're definitely not going to use landscape. Camera standard is a little too like greenish for me, so we're going to stick with portrait. So we're going to click that, close. So now what we're going to do, we're going to boost the shadows. So looking really good there so far. So now what next thing we're going to do, we're going to drop down the highlight just a little bit, and the blacks and the whites, we can boost up the black just a little bit. I don't want to go too much before I start messing with the black here. This was shot at ISO 800. So now what we're going to do, we're going to slide. Now we're going to go ahead and slide this clarity slider up. And now we're going to just slide the vibrance. So we're going to go up to about 35, which, all right, that looks good to me. So next thing, we're just going to go down and add some sharpening. I'm going to go up to about 68 on this since it's ISO 800, so I don't want to add a lot of noise to the image. So just go to 1.3 and then just kind of check. And it's looking good. So as you guys can see, like, it's a very useful lens for different genres of photography. It's not just a portrait lens. You can also use it for weddings if you need like, you know, like some artistic flair or background separation, or you're trying to do like, you know, bride and groom portraits or what have you. And matter of fact, that's going to be the last image that I take with you to edit on is I'm going to show you one of the bridal portraits that I did with this lens. So starting out here we go. So this is the raw image of the bride in her dress. So no editing, haven't added a camera profile, so let's go ahead and do that. So browse, so go to portrait. Now what we're going to do is we're going to boost up the shadows once again, boost up the blacks a little bit. We can also maybe get away with just adjusting the exposure just a little bit. We're going to add a little contrast, not too much, and then we're also going to drop the highlight just a little bit, just to get just a tiny bit more detail out of the dress. So now we're going to go to the clarity slider, go to +16. Could actually maybe drop that down to +14. So now, of course, the vibrance. So we're going to go all the way up to 42. And I'm liking how that's looking so far. Now, as you can see, her face is a little bit too red for my liking. So we're going to just kind of mess around with the different settings to kind of take care of that a little bit. So maybe not have it as saturated. So that took care of a little bit. So that's okay. So that's acceptable. And now, as you can see, like what it did was it gave a lot of nice vibrance to the grass, to the brick road and whatnot. So last thing we're gonna do, we're gonna go down and just add some sharpening. So sharpen that all the way up to 82 and 1.4. And look at that. Look at how sharp that is. And this was shot at f1.4 at 1/1600th of a second. And look at just how look at all the detail in her dress. Like, look at that. It's sharp and focused. You can see the nice embroidery on the dress. Now, as you can see down here, you can see where it's got that color fringing again. You see right there, got the purple fringe and whatnot. And if we look through here, you won't see it in the veil as much, but especially on the lower part of the dress, we can see that purple fringing. So we're gonna go and take care of that. So let's go ahead, All right, and very simple fix. And voila. So there you have it, guys. So that is so that's the 85 and just how versatile this lens is. So now we'll get back to the main video.
Alright guys, so that's that for the editing portion of this video. So I hope you guys kind of got a little bit of a sense of what the 85 can really do and just how great of a lens it is for portraiture. So as you can see, like, it renders colors fantastically. It's very sharp wide open. It's even sharper stopped down to about the f2 2.8 range. It's actually not that heavy in real world usage. Even though it feels heavy at first when you first pick it up, but after a little bit you don't really feel it. And as you can see, it just has a very unique look to it that makes your images stand out. And that's one of the reasons why I bought that lens, because I really wanted to stand out from the crowd. I wanted to show that I wanted to show that my images are cut above the competition, and the 85 really helps render that look, that signature look that a lot of people have come to know. Like, I've had friends and family who they can automatically tell what images are mine, and a lot of it is because I've gotten so comfortable shooting with the 85 that they instantly recognize when it's my image, because there's a signature look to my images now that they can just pinpoint because of that. So guys, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We're going to be looking at other lenses that I own in my bag in the next few weeks, so we can go through and edit some images taken with those. We're going to go through and break down how I use them in day-to-day usage, whether it's for portraits, weddings, maternity, what have you. So guys, that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram at Star Moment Photos. So guys, that's it. Have a great evening. Have a good night.